They went to the microwave, put the chicken in, and there was a button that said, chicken.
I didn't get no sleep because of y'all. Y'all never gonna sleep because of me.
Ooh, ah, the ghetto.
Welcome back to Wine and Chill. I'm Stephanie, your favorite recovering lawyer, and today we are talking about the legalities of reality TV. And by teas, I mean T-E-A-S. So, today we're trying a new wine. We haven't tried a new wine in a while, which it's summer, and summer is rosé season. So we're trying 3 by Wade, because shout out to the Miami Heat. As a huge Heat fan, I know we didn't win the NBA Finals, but y'all are always winners to me. I figured a rosé would go well with today's topic. Oh, it's crisp. I like it. It's very good. All right, so our agenda. First, we're starting with the money, honey. Where are the coins for the reality TV girls? And speaking of the reality TV girls, the girls are fighting. And how have we legalized assault, battery, and all around violence on reality TV? And last but not least, the answer is buried in the contract, as always. So we'll be going through a reality TV contract, a throwback if you may, because I was able to get a hold of one of the contracts from Real World, which Real World, depending on who you ask, is the first reality TV drama unscripted show. I don't know if those words are in the right order, but you get what I'm saying. Into the money.
Bad Girls Club has the same production company as Real World and the Kardashians.
Mm-hmm.
Put that in your pipe and smoke it.
Yeah, but so when they're paying out millions of dollars to the Kardashians, we're getting our ass beat for $500.
Yeah. And Kim just got her ass beat by Courtney for like a lot.
Like 10 mil.
Right.
It's not even a comparison, bro. I'd get my ass beat every day for 10 mil.
So, as you've heard from former Bad Girls themselves, Bad Girls Club was the original back in the day, before Baddies West, Baddies South, Baddies East. Is there an East? Baddies North, Baddies around the world, there was Bad Girls Club. And they were only paying the girls of Bad Girls Club $500 a week. Yeah, no. Like she said, to get your behind whooped for $500, it's not going to work. However, for $163,273.97 trifling cents, aka the rest of my student loans, you know what? I would let somebody try. Keyword on try, because I'm pretty quick. Not only are participants of reality TV severely underpaid, one of the reasons why they stay underpaid is they waive their right to any residuals. Residuals are at the heart of the issue that's currently ongoing with the writers' strike. Currently, right now, writers are not being paid residuals, and residuals are essentially money you receive as an actor, as a writer, as a director, as anybody who has in your contract if you work in TV and film, and those residuals get you paid long after the video has aired, every time the video is aired in another format. However, reality TV participants don't see a cent of that. To know, we're talking about regular everyday people who go on reality shows. Let's do some throwbacks, such as Survivor, Bad Girls Club, Real World. You know what? I would assume people on Love and Hip Hop may have negotiated for some residuals. That's actually a good question. We'd have to see their contracts. We're not including people like Kimmy and the Kardashians. I'm pretty sure Kimmy negotiated with E! Online to have her original residuals from the original Keeping Up with the Kardashians series. We are specifically going to go through the Real World contract a little bit later in this video, particularly because the production studio behind Real World is also the production studio behind Keeping Up with the Kardashians, as well as Bad Girls Club. In that agreement, it states, I understand and agree that no additional repayment, residuals, or otherwise shall be made to me with respect to producers' use of the materials. Now, Tanisha and her iconic, I ain't got no sleep because of y'all, y'all ain't got no sleep, y'all ain't got no sleep, or is it y'all ain't got no sleep because of me? Y'all won't get any sleep because of me. I can't remember the lyrics. At this point in time, it was a bop. You had to be there. Tanisha should have received some money for the fact that we played it and played it and played it and played it every which way. It was, I would say, the original. If you can't go to Bella Noche's, where the heck can you go?
is upsetting me and my homegirl, because we feel like, well, damn, if you can't go to bed on no chase, what the hell could you go?
One of the things that people always talk about with reality TV is that people go on reality TV or essentially parlay their experience on reality TV to have huge influencer contracts to parlay it into a career as an influencer. However, when The Real World aired in 1992, social media didn't exist back then. Was MySpace even around? MySpace was a great platform that we really took for granted. We really learned how to code. /I// Listen, my MySpace page was very glittery. They were simply people being used as guinea pigs for a new analog format because reality TV to make is extremely cheap. It's technically unscripted, so the producers don't have to spend money on writers, although there is some scripting going on, as Laguna Beach showed us.
I hate boys! No, like, I hate boys. It's because they're immature and stupid.
And essentially producers then go in and edit everything. You have to have said it for it to happen. I know a common thing people love to say when they feel like they're being misportrayed is, look at the editing. You said it, sis. You did. Maybe they're making you look worse than what you actually are, but you definitely had to say it. So fast forward to the late aughts and the rise of social media, particularly Instagram, now people largely go on reality TV as a stepping stone to get into the new career of influencing. However, we should really question how many reality TV stars actually make it as influencers. How many of them are fairly compensated for their pop culture contributions and the literal dollars that they have made for the network. Tiffany Pollard, an undeniable reality TV icon, most famously starred on Flavor of Love and then I Love New York, as well as many numerous spin-offs that were based on, honestly, I'd say her character on the show. However, she seems to be that very much that witty, snarky, and funny in real life.
She's a cute girl, you know, cute next to gorgeous. Gorgeous is gonna, you know, devour cute. I wanted to see if I was powerful enough to twist her mind.
And Flavor of Love, for all the problems that the show is responsible for, you know, the representation and insert respectability politics that some of us are still holding on to, it really was a time to be alive. Because the show, begrudgingly, no matter how you feel about it, is wildly funny. And yes, I was watching all of Flavor of Love in either late middle school or early high school, and nothing is ever going to be funnier to me than Hottie putting an entire chicken in the microwave.
I just want to say, whoever number 8 was, that wasn't serious, was you?
My girl knew early on how to get her screen time. And culturally, we have never given enough credit to that show and largely the women participants of that show for propping up an entire network, which is VH1. VH1 would not exist today in the current form it exists, or at all if it weren't for Flavor of Love. And the fact that they then replicated that success with differing versions, such as, what's his name with the bandana, Bret Michaels, he had his own spinoff as well. Daisy got her own show, and I Love New York, etc., etc., etc. And most notably, about 5 to 10-ish years later, you would see Love and Hip Hop.
So you 38 years old. How long you gonna be doing this?
All of that built on the success of Flavor of Love. But did any of those women actually get compensated for that? And did Flavor Flav get the compensation he desperately needed as well? I think not. I think what's interesting, if you look at New York's persona before we get into, you know, more of the contract as well, if you look at New York's persona, her persona definitely was the model of many women that then came on Oxygen's Bad Girls Club. And again, with I Love New York and Flavor of Love, New York was a regular woman who happened to be from New York, and she parlayed that fame to then become an internet icon. With Bad Girls Club, Oxygen Network decided to take that same formula and put a bunch of different women into a house to... Honestly, the premise of the show was to see if they were going to fight. Truly.
They only pay you $500 a week to do Bad Girls Club.
And with the $500 a week that the participants of Bad Girls Club were given, one would think that shows that have 100% been influenced and are the daughters of Bad Girls Club, aka the entire Baddies series, would be paying a little bit better, since many, many moons have passed. It's been reported that each participant in the Baddies series, which Baddies airs on Zeus Network, is paid between $5,000 and $10,000 per season. There are 19 episodes per season. Y'all can do the math, but as you can see, they're not really paying that well, and I can tell you now, I highly doubt that there's any residuals allowed in that contract. The pay is very low, particularly the fact that the show is largely marketed to people as the main attraction is, unfortunately, depending on how you feel about it, women fighting. And speaking of fighting, how does reality TV get away with all of these assaults?
Do it already. Don't
Billy and Billy. Stop. Okay, stop. You too. Okay.
The main argument of reality TV is that everything you think you're seeing is actually staged. However,
do it! Slap me.
Pumpkin definitely logged that racist loogie at New York. Clearly this is not staged. So let's take a step back and what is the actual legal definition of assault? Assault is generally defined as an intentional act that puts another person in reasonable apprehension of imminent harm or offensive contact. No physical injury is required, but the actor must have intended to cause a harmful or offensive contact with the victim, and the victim must have thereby been put in immediate apprehension of such contact. Now, there are a lot of legal mumbo jumbo in that definition, so let's break it down a little bit further. So intention is pretty self-explanatory. That means it's not accidental. You wanted to inflict harm on this person. Reasonable apprehension is interesting in the context of reality TV because if the victim and tortfeasor have special knowledge of each other, the tortfeasor, in this instance, because we are talking about civil law, so this would be the person committing the tort of assault. If they have special knowledge of each other, this special knowledge may be considered when determining whether the victim's apprehension was reasonable. So, in layman's terms, if you go onto a show like Baddies West, are you actually afraid that you're going to get in a fight if the premise of the show is you're going to get into a fight? And again, I'm not going to say I don't condone violence because you already know. I very much live by the mantra, if you know to listen, you must feel. However, most of these fights, nobody listened because nobody actually has any communication skills, but that's neither here nor there for this legal analysis. And I say all that to say, violence is not usually the answer. Violence in the context of reality TV is not the answer. I'll leave it like that. It's not like I have a whole colonization series on Patreon talking about how, you know what, Bun It Down was definitely the answer there. That's different from this. So when it comes to reality TV and the fact that the producers often put participants in situations where they know they have heightened anxiety, heightened anger, and also ply them with lots and lots of alcohol.
I need to start drinking alcohol. Give me one of those bottles.
You can see in all of these reality TV shows, including reality TV dating shows like Love is Blind, The Ultimatum, Queer Edition. Excellent. Highly recommend that. I never watched the cishet one, but the queer one was very good. You see contestants being supplied lots and lots of alcohol. In reality TV drama shows, alcohol is pervasive. It's everywhere. And the alcohol is the only legalized substance that you can see on these shows. I'm sure there are illegal substances as well present, which brings into some questions because, for example, with Baddies West, and I think the Baddies series in general, Natalie Nunn, who her rise to reality fame started with Bad Girls Club. Natalie Nunn is one of the producers for Zeus and one of the producers on Baddies West, even though she is also a cast member as well. So as the producer, you're the person in power. You are also the person setting up the situations. You can see in this clip.
One of two things we can do here. Y'all can either square up and get it off your chest, or we're going to stop talking. It's too much talking.
Get Sarah, stop screaming. God damn it. Stop even doing head up. Let her do her little rumble tumble. Go on.
All right. Let them talk. Let them talk.
We have a few questions. As the producer, is Natalie inciting the violence? Are they actually fighting? Because if we're under the assumption that most reality TV is staged, it very much looks like the fist connected. So it's safe to say they're actually fighting. And as always, what's legally correct is not what's always practicable. The fact that yes, we have witnessed an assault, a battery has occurred, Zeus Network, as well as most reality TV shows know, the participants on these shows, particularly in today's era of parlaying your time on the show to an influencing career, they are highly unlikely to press charges. And because they are unlikely to press charges, the networks push this type of behavior. And because Natalie is a producer on the show, essentially Zeus, the parent company of the entire show, is promoting violence and is encouraging these women to fight, regardless of what any of their cute PR statements say. And with that, there's two legal arenas that you have to think about in terms of reality TV and just in general when you're having any type of legal discussion, which is you have the realm of civil law, so the tortfeasors, all of torts, who's suing who, and then the realm of criminal law. So with criminal law, for someone to actually have consequences for their actions for assaulting someone on TV, A, the prosecutor would have to press charges, and B, the victim would have to cooperate. We have already established that most of the people on reality TV are trying to continue a life of influencing. They're likely not pressing charges. Which leaves up to the prosecutor. The prosecutor in these various states where these assaults are occurring, they're also not likely to press charges. What would be the reason? Every time production happens on a show, you have to pay a permit to the city. The city is essentially making money off of this. And one could then ask, what is the real harm if these people are willingly participating in unsanctioned boxing matches? It couldn't be me. It couldn't be me. And of course, the prosecution could press charges if they wanted to without victim statement, without a victim deciding to move forward, but usually that's highly unlikely. Now, this is juxtaposed and very different in what we discussed in our live stream earlier this week, speaking about Jocelyn Hernandez attacking Big Lex during the Floyd Mayweather fight. During that assault and battery, she was charged with 3 counts of battery, 1 count of resisting arrest / resisting a police officer with violence. In that, while yes, Zeus was likely filming for numerous shows since they were the headline sponsor of the event, they negotiated and are in a partnership with Mayweather and his team to exclusively host his boxing matches and make them available on Zeus pay-per-view. This occurred in a public place. Also, per the clips, Jocelyn is hitting people who are not in contract privity with her. Jocelyn is hitting everyone that's around. Those people likely did not sign a waiver stating, yes, I'm going to see a brawl and maybe I too will participate in a brawl. Yeah, no. Civil lawsuits, however, in the other legal arena have occurred numerous times in reality TV. However, most cases are usually dismissed because people sign away a lot of their rights in the reality TV contracts. So, on to the contract. If you haven't already, go ahead and press subscribe, and if you've been here for a while, you know that I did a brief stint as an entertainment lawyer before I spent the bulk of my legal career working in tech. With that, I'm very familiar, know my way around a contract, and I wasn't surprised when I realized and saw that the contract for the real world participants was 30 pages. Respectable. However, what I did find really interesting is, according to the research, most reality TV contracts can be upwards of 60 pages. They are so exhaustive in nature because the production companies as well as the networks and the studios don't want their unknowing reality TV participants suing them. Now again, you can sue anybody for any reason as long as you have the filing fee. Whether or not you'll win is based on what rights you signed away and you've waived in the contract. Before we get into the specific questionable clauses, let's talk about the unconscionability doctrine. So, according to Oxford, an unconscionable contract or clause has been defined as one that no man or woman, person, human being on this earth, in their senses and not under delusion, would make on the one hand, and as a no, honest, and fair person would accept on the other. The recognition of unconscionability by a court is not a simple determination to make, particularly due to the serious consequences that it produces, that of unenforceability. The court has upheld all types of contracts, you would be surprised, including contracts for illegal sales of goods. With the contract, as we go through this clause, you're going to want to keep in mind, is this unconscionable? Would a reasonable person have signed away their rights to this? All right, and with that, let's get into paragraph 1, because you know, the contract had to start spicy. I understand that my participation in the program, in this instance, the program was defined as being on real world, insert whatever city that you are auditioning for, may involve traveling by air, whether via helicopter, commercial airliner, glider, private aircraft, or otherwise, train, automobile, etc., hiking, kayaking, boating. Lovely, sounds great. I acknowledge and understand that, and with participating in other hazardous activities, my participation in the program carries with it the potential for death. Serious physical injury, extreme emotional distress, mental or physical illness, and property loss. Now, If you are an adrenaline junkie, someone who lives on the edge, someone not like me, child, I'm terrified of roller coasters. So let me just start there. You may or may not have seen waivers of death, waivers of your own death when you've tried things such as skydiving, bungee jumping, etc. Certain activities are considered to be inherently dangerous activities. You're allowed to do them, but because they're not required activities for, living a life, such as housing. Housing shouldn't be an inherently dangerous activity. Although living in New York with these slumlords, yeah, sometimes it is. It's not uncommon with skydiving, etc., that you waive things such as, unfortunately, your untimely departure from this realm. However, to see it in a reality TV contract, I was a little shocked. But again, the unconscionability doctrine wouldn't apply here because for something to be unconscionable, no reasonable person would sign it. A person who signs this while not acting unreasonably doesn't need to be on reality TV. So they would lose under the unconscionability doctrine because it's not something you need to do. If I sign away my right to unfortunately sue or my family to sue if I were to, have the building fall on me, that would be unconscionable because you need somewhere to live. You don't need to be the next big star on Baddies West, but you might want to. 24/7 filming. I understand that if I'm selected to participate in the program, I will be separated from my family, friends, and my regular environment during the period of production, currently contemplated to commence on the first day of production at the producer's discretion and continue for approximately 16 weeks. However, such schedule is subject to change and extension by producer in its solely and absolute discretion, and I will be required to reside, sleep, live, travel, and otherwise conduct my affairs with other members of the real world cast and possibly certain production staff members at various locations, collectively the location, along with the other participants, and have all of my actions and statements videotaped and recorded for up to 24 hours a day for a period of approximately 16 weeks. But such schedule is subject to change and or extension at producer's sole discretion. Real World was a wild show. Let's start there. The fact that y'all were filming these people for 4 months of their life, 24/7, no wonder lots of foolishness occurred. And shout out to Patreon and for some of my patrons for allowing me, specifically Ashia, thank you so much for allowing me to interview you and talk about how the ins and the outs of being a producer of reality TV works. Then you have the assumption of risk, which is, okay, you're coming on this show, we've already established, maybe you'll pass on. So you assume that risk, which is wild, in my opinion. There are other risks. And it's important to read the assumption of risk because the assumption of risk shifts the responsibility from the production, from the people who know that they've set up this scenario where they've had you take 5 Everclear shots and you're not going to be passed the hell out. Child, 1 Everclear shot back in college, you will be passed the hell out. I don't know why they sold that. Set us up for foolishness. Who remembers Four Loko? Or doesn't remember? We needed supervision. The section is always, in my opinion, uniquely unfair, and specifically unfair because most people assume that a well-funded production company from a network such as Vh1 would assume the risk, seeing as these networks literally make billions of dollars on their reality TV offerings. So let's specifically get into this. I acknowledge that the producer has made no representations or warrants of any kind whatsoever to me regarding other participants, including but not limited to the mental or physical health of such participants or their career, financial history, education, or medical, emotional, or personal history. I understand and acknowledge that producer may or may not screen or conduct background checks or investigations of the other participants or other persons who appear or may appear on the program, including an investigation of any person's medical, professional, or criminal history, and producer has no duty to conduct such investigation. Yeah, that was made real clear when VH1 had an entire show in which one of the participants then was later convicted of murder. Yeah. Again, because the bar in the unconscionability doctrine is so high, this language is inherently unfair because people would assume. One would assume, if I'm going to work, you screened all these people. So hopefully all these people are in an okay enough space that they're not going to show up to work with an AK-47. And it's the assumption that when you work at a certain place, you assume that everyone has been subjected to a background check. However, because you're a contractor, not an employee of these production companies and therefore of the network themselves, They are purposely telling you they don't want the background check. They want to see foolishness abound. And that's wildly problematic, not just in the sense of the drama reality TV shows where you're just seeing various scenarios, but particularly in the dating shows where they really should conduct background checks on people. It further goes on to detail, I understand there are risks in any such interaction, including but not limited to the possibility of consensual and non-consensual physical contact, which could result in my contracting any type of sexually transmitted disease. This is old contract, obviously, it's called infection now, including without limitation, HIV, gonorrhea, herpes, syphilis, etc., etc., etc. You cannot waive your right to sue for being assaulted. You cannot waive your right and say, yes, I agree to be non-consensually assaulted by someone. That is not stopping these large networks from putting that language in for people to sign. That language is there to deter people from suing the network and stating, that's really wild. Of course, I didn't expect so-and-so to hit me upside the head with a cast iron pan. There have been multiple lawsuits from Jocelyn's Cabaret and the lawsuit that stemmed from both her and her fiance assaulting a cast member on the reunion, to the Hepperley twins from Bad Girls Club also suing. However, Jocelyn's Cabaret lawsuit, what was interesting was that it was just quietly dismissed. Usually when cases are dismissed is because a settlement was reached outside of court, I would guess. The same thing with the Hepperley case as well, with the two twins. That was dismissed as well, and likely, probably a settlement. And the majority of these lawsuits, the participants settle instead of continuing with the lawsuit because they can't win in court, which that is not a good reason for the court to continue to uphold these contracts. All right, let me know if we should continue this, 2 parts have been done now, series, and do a video on the legalities of reality TV dating shows. Because that's a mess, truthfully. Particularly when you see that a lot of people's rights of privacy have been completely trampled on. When you look at the fact of what types of images are being reproduced of people, do you have any rights to your likeness when you participate in reality TV? So there are a lot of different legal questions that come up. This was just to scratch the surface, but let me know if we should continue. All right, I'll catch you on the next video.